What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin with Jake. Hope all doing well. So let's get started. The NBA announced the Christmas Day games that will be taking place this year. To me, NBA on Christmas is iconic. To me, it's better than Thanksgiving. The NFL on Thanksgiving. NFL on Thanksgiving has been really bad to me for a bunch of years now. NBA Christmas Day games are usually all really good. So these are the 5 games. There's always 5 games. First game is the Cavs and the New York Knicks. MSG. Spurs of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Houston Rockets of the Los Angeles Lakers, Dallas Mavericks of the Golden State Warriors, and the Minnesota Timberwolves of the Denver Nuggets. I think this is a really good slate. Cavs and Knicks to me are right now the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference. That could be a playoff series preview, maybe the Eastern Conference Finals preview. You have the Spurs and the Thunder. Thunder are the defending champs. Spurs are a team that should be really exciting this upcoming season. You got 2 really good, exciting young teams in the Western Conference. Rockets Lakers should be a good game. Lakers, I think, are a bit overrated, but will be a playoff play-in team probably. Rockets, obviously, bit of a new look team. Kevin Durant against LeBron James could be the last time those 2 guys ever play against each other. With LeBron possibly retiring after the season, KD's getting up there in age as well. Yeah, I don't think he'll retire after the season, but you never know. Mavericks, Golden State Warriors. It's 2 I would say potential playoff teams in Western Conference. Could that be a playoff series preview? That should be a good game. And then Timberwolves Nuggets again. It's 2 good teams in the Western Conference. Should both be in the playoffs. Could end up being a playoff series. That should be a very good game. You got Anthony Edwards against Nikola Jokic. Denver made some moves. They should be really good this year. So that's a potential playoff series matchup. I think 5 really good games we're going to see on Christmas Day in the NBA. And for the next segment, we're going to talk about some baseball. So first, I want to talk about MLB managers that I believe are on the hot seat heading into the home stretch. It's August 11th. We got about a month and a half to go in the regular season. So let's talk about. I did my top 6 managers. I think there's 6 guys that, to me, are pretty clearly seats are getting a little bit hot. So let's jump right in. Number 6, I'm going to go off Ali Marmol. So I don't think Ollie's done a horrible job as the manager of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's been there for a couple of years now. St. Louis was once a really proud organization. Really good decision making. Obviously, they won the World Series and that crazy series against against the Texas Rangers. David Freese was the hero of that series. Obviously, Game 6 and 7 was World Series MVP. I think that was in 2011. In the earlier 2010s, they had a lot of they got close a couple of other times. Of course, you won had that Cinderella run when you won in 2006 as well. Obviously, you had Albert Pujols for all those years. Last 2 years, they've been a very mediocre ball club. They have not made the playoffs in a few years. They haven't won a playoff game in even longer than that. And he's been there. I think this is year 3 for him. And they've been a mediocre ball club since he took over. And remember, the president of baseball operations, John Mosliak, he's stepping down after the season. He's been there a long time. He's stepping down. Shane Bloom, former Red Sox head baseball executive, he's currently in the front office right now. He's going to take over as the for Mosliak next season. So I could see Bloom. I mean, he's been in the front office for a year or 2 now. So I don't think he would fire Marmol. Right now, they're at 500. They're hanging in there in the wild card race. Probably won't make the playoffs, but certainly aren't completely out of it. So you never know. But if things kind of go really haywire down the stretch, I could see Bloom being like, you know what, I want to usher in a new era of Cardinals baseball. I want this organization to get back to being that proud organization that was winning the division every year, making the playoffs every year, competing for championships every year, and that then needs to make a serious change. I could see him doing it. So I think if things are status quo the rest of the way, they continue playing. And this is an older team that didn't have a lot of expectations going in. They're right now 4 or 5 games out of the playoff spot. If they continue on that pace, I think they can get to at least another year. But if they kind of completely fall apart to the point where September rolls around and they're about to be mathematically eliminated, I could see Shane being like, you know what, this just isn't it. At 5, I'm going to go with Bob Melvin. He's a manager in San Francisco. Now, Melvin's had a great career. He was with the A's, and they were in Oakland for a while. Had some really good years there. Was manager of the year at least once. He was in Arizona before that. I think he won manager of the year when he was there. But since then, not a whole lot. His tenure in San Diego wasn't great. And so far in San Francisco, they didn't make the playoffs last year. This year, they start out pretty good. You make the big trade for Rafael Devers. Everyone said they fleeced the Red Sox, and since then they have not played very well. They've been one of the worst teams in the league. They've had one of the worst offenses in the league, and they are right now right around 500. They're 4 or 5 games out of the playoff spot themselves. So it's to me, obviously Buster Posey recently took over as president of baseball operations. Obviously, he's a future Hall of Fame catcher. Played for the Giants his whole career. If I'm not sure if he's gonna like, ever since he took over, being a mediocre ball club and stuff. His team obviously won three World Series in a 6-year span, from 2010 to 2014, whatever it was. The last one coming in 2014. You were in the playoffs in 2016. You were the best team in baseball in, what was it, 2021 or 2022. Won like 108 games, and then you lose to the Dodgers I think in the division series in the National League Championship Series. And then since then they haven't met, I don't think you've made the playoffs. So they've been a relatively mediocre ball club and have come up short quite a few times uh in the last bunch of years. And right now they're sitting at 500. They're 4 games out of a playoff spot. National League is tougher than the American League, but the very end of that playoff bracket, with the Mets struggling right now, Cincinnati isn't overpowering. St. Louis has been mediocre all year. Arizona sold up a deadline. Miami's been playing better, though they've kind of come back down after a hot stretch. I thought they were getting in. Everyone else is pretty much out of it. I think you should look at that and be like, this is if they can get hot, there's no reason why they can't get into the playoffs. Where things stand right now, and if they continue to underperform, because that's a roster. Last 2 years they brought in a lot of guys in free agency. Jung Ho Lee in that big deal. You gave Willie Adames a $180 million contract that last off season. They made the move to off the Rafael Devers trade. Especially since they did a light sell at the trade deadline, trading a controllable closer, Camilo Doval, to the Yankees. You trade away Mike Yastrzemski as well. So who knows? Maybe if I had to guess, he probably gives Melvin another year as a multiple-time manager of the year. So I could see him getting one more year, full year of Rafael Devers. Maybe he works on his defense at first. He continues to make alterations to the roster. But this team is good enough to make the playoffs, and right now they are 4 games out and haven't shown much reason to why, even only being 4 games out, we should really expect them to overcome 3 teams in front of them and jump the Mets to make the playoffs. So I have him on there. At 4, I have Brian Snitker of the Atlanta Braves. Now look, I can't stand the Braves, but I do respect their organization. Brian Snitker, I think, is an excellent manager. He won a World Series 4 years ago. I think he's one of the league's best managers. He's been there for a while. It's Atlanta. This is a team that, from the 90s and the 2000s won like 14 straight division titles. You win a championship. Obviously, you had the iconic pitching staff of John Smoltz and Tom Glavine and Greg Maddux. Over the last 4 or 5 years, you've been a really good team. You won a World Series 4 years ago. Got close a couple of other times. Last year, dealt with a lot of injuries. You barely sneak into the playoffs, lose in the first round. This year's tumultuous here. A lot of injuries. Guys underperforming. And right now, you are the 4th worst team in the National League. There's been some drama with him, calling out Jared Kelenic for not hustling earlier in the year, kind of like calling him out, not calling him out, didn't end up benching him, and then Acuna tweeted out like, oh, if I did that, things would have been different. Going public with that. So there's been some stuff over the years, like when Freddie Freeman left to go sign with the Dodgers. Acuna just went on the pocket and said, like, I didn't really have a relationship with him. It's like, the whole reason why Freddie left was kind of cloudy, some stuff with his agent and the Braves. And now you have the guy, ever since they won the World Series, you had 2 excellent years. We were maybe the best team in baseball, and you come up short both years in the playoffs, getting slapped in the first round last year and then being really bad this year. They're just regressing, and regressing. Teams starting to get a little bit older. Guys are starting to, injuries are starting to pile up. You gotta start wondering, maybe their window is over, and if so, if you're in Atlanta, do you maybe have to shift to a new era of Braves baseball? I'm not saying they're going to blow his team up. I mean, they could have moved some pieces up a deadline. I know Chris Sale's hurt, but a guy like Marcell Ozuna, they could have looked to move. Could they flip a controllable guy like Matt Olson? I don't know, but I don't think he'll get fired. But I can imagine his seat's a little bit warm because they have been regressing for a solid 4 years now since their World Series win. They went from, Super Bowl championship to elite team regular season, loser away the playoffs to just sneaking to the playoffs to one of the worst teams in baseball. So they have been regressing, but it's the first year they're not going to be making the playoffs in like 5 years. So, I mean, I would bring him back in a heartbeat. It wouldn't be a question to me. I think Snicker's an excellent manager, but, he's pushing 70 years old. Been regressing. Maybe he gets let go. Number 3 is Rob Thompson. Look, I think Thompson has done a fantastic job since taking over. He took over midway through the season in 2022. This is his third full year with the Phillies. He took over a team that was dead in the water when he took over, took them all the way to the World Series. He was an analyst the following year. You've been to the playoffs the last 2 years. It looks like you're heading back to the playoffs. You're right. You've built a 5.5 game lead in National League East over the Mets right now. So you're most likely going to the playoffs. Probably are going to win your division. Even with the Brewers on a ridiculous pace, still only 5 games behind them for the 1 seed. You're right now a half game ahead of the Dodgers for a first round bye. So you're in a good spot. You're probably heading to the playoffs, probably winning your division. But this team is getting a little bit older. They're starting to age a bit. A couple of these guys are hitting the free agent market. Kyle Schwarber is a free agent. I think Nick Castellanos might be a free agent. Zach Wheeler you came out and said that he's retiring in a couple of years, possibly. Harper is getting much older. Trey Turner's starting to get older. Aaron Nola is getting older. So all of a sudden, you look at this group, it's like the team is aging. A couple of pieces might be leaving for agency. You've been in the playoff the last few years. You've had some good teams the last few years, and you haven't been able to get over the hump. And you lose in the World Series in 2022. In 23, you lose in the LCS. And then in 24, also in 23, you lost to Arizona. That's a team that you on paper probably should have beat. And then last year, losing to the Mets in the LDS. The Mets last year had a magical run. But again, on paper, they were a better ball club. And they lost in 4 games in the LDS to the Mets last year. Another early playoff exit this year. You think I got like Kyle Schwarber's going to have a big market. He might win MVP this year. Castellanos should have some sort of market. The team is aging. Dave Dombrowski, the president of baseball operations, he's not a guy that that is gonna want to sell. He's the kind of guy that will try and squeeze every last inch he has out of an aging core. Try to see if he can grab a championship before they're either forced to sell or his tenure there ends. And if maybe he's like, all right, I think we might have one more run in this group, maybe one year or 2 more. I'm gonna do what I can for agency and the trade market to try and squeeze a championship out of his core before they all just get too old and we have to sell them all off. A lot of big contracts on that payroll. Harper, Turner, Nola could do it for days. Maybe he lets go of Thompson. Again, not what I would do. I think Rob Thompson's done a really good job there because he's a very good manager. But another early playoff exit. There was speculation that maybe he would get let go after he lost to the Mets last year. That ended up happening. Another NLDS loss this year. That could mean, I think possibly the seat could get really hot. Number 2 is John Schneider. Jays fans have been bitching about this guy for a solid 3 years now. For 2 years in a row. They had a really good team. You lose in the first round. He had some really questionable decision making in those playoff exits. A tumultuous year last year. I was shocked. I didn't think they would bring him back 2 years ago. I was shocked they would bring him back last year. Early in the year, when the team was struggling a bit. fans were losing their minds on him. That's obviously been a little quieter after they got hot. Right now we're in first place. But if another early playoff, I get there weren't too many expectations this year. It's a very young team. They didn't do as much as we thought they were going to do in free agency. Even at the trade line, they make a couple of moves, but we thought they would get one more back, didn't do so. The only starting pitcher you brought in was an injured Shane Bieber. Besides the two bullpen moves for Varland and Dominguez, nothing really happened at the deadline for them. But right now, you have the best record in the American League. If they lose in the first round again, I think he might get. They would be in the division series because they good chance they'll have a bye. But especially if this team collapses, I mean, if the Yankees are in third place, they're what, 5 or 6 games maybe behind them, something like that. I think they're 7 games behind Toronto right now. That's the third place team. You still have another 40 or so games to go. If they collapse and either barely get in and lose in the first round or miss the playoff entirely, I think he gets fired. Even though division series loss, there's people's are gonna be like, especially if he makes some more questionable decisions, like 2022, blowing that big lead in game 2. Last year, pulling the starter really early to put in Kenta Maeda, who didn't have a good season in the 5th or the 6th inning, and then the things crumble from there. That happens again. I could see him getting canned. Just one too many late season playoff collapses. Number one's Aaron Boone. He should have been fired 3 or 4 years ago. But I don't think the guy's a good manager. He just has an elite team. Every year they struggle for about 3 months in the summer. They're playing some really bad baseball right now. They have the 4th worst record in the majors. I think the 2nd worst in the American League over the last 2 months. They went from comfortably in first place to now 7 games out of first place. You're 2.5 games out of second place. You're only half game out of Cleveland for the last playoff spot. You're only 6 games over 500. If this team makes the playoffs, there is no universe where he can come back. There is no chance where he comes back. And even so, this guy's been here 8 years. They're in the World Series last year. Outside of that, it's been at best game 6 of the LCS, game 7 of the LCS. Every year they have stacked roster with stacked payroll year in and year out, and he comes up short every single year. If Yankees fans ran the team, this guy would have been gone 5 years ago. They obviously don't. But despite what his win-loss record might say, I really don't think this guy's a very good manager. I don't really think he knows what he's doing, to be honest. If they don't get, I think at least the LCS, he should get fired. If they miss the playoffs, there is no chance this guy gets fired. So to me, he has the hottest seat of all of them. Before we finish things out with a couple of things I want to talk about, I want to talk about the New York Mets. The New York Mets are playing absolutely horrible baseball. Just dreadful. They have lost 12 of the last 13 games, each of their last 7. And frankly, they need to get their heads out of their ass, okay? They have, 42, 43 games left? There's not a lot of time. They are now 5.5 games out of first place. There's a game and a half ahead of Cincinnati for the last playoff spot. 2.5 games behind San Diego for the second wild card spot, I think, and 5.5 games behind the Cubs for the first wild card spot. Okay? This is a team, a month or 2 ago, it looked like a lock for the playoffs. Good chance they win the division. Now the division looks not certainly not impossible, but looks unlikely. And even the playoff is looking uncertain, as days go by. Okay? And just how in the world is a lineup that should be this stacked this bad? I don't understand. It makes no sense. How does everyone underperform? Francisco Lindor, and I love Lindor. The guy's hitting 180 since the break. Brendan Nimmo is hitting 105 with 25 strikeouts in his last 60 at-bats. Pete Alonso, this last week or so, he's been a little bit better. Hitting the ball in the ballpark, obviously. He's 1 home run away from being the Mets all-time leader in home runs. Congratulations to him on that. But, even him started out great. The better part of the last 2 months, he has not been very good. Even Soto, again, these last few games, he's looked good. Overall, has had a good year. But he had 20 games stretch before this last week where he hit 160. Vientos has been terrible. Beatty hasn't been good enough. Mauricio hasn't been good enough. All these young kids that have come up this year have not been good enough. And just, the only bat you got with them was Cedric Mullins, who's got like 3 hits since he came here. A good center fielder. It's not a bad move, but just, they should have went and got, Eugenio Suarez or something. You got 3 really talented third basemen. A guy in Vientos who hit 27 home runs last year. Beatty has the potential to be really good. As was Ronnie Mauricio. And all of them have been horrible. Just terrible this year. Overall, they have not been good. And neither of them play defense either. I don't understand. They have had one starting pitcher in the last 2 months pitch 6 innings. David Pierce is the only starting pitcher in the last 2 months that's pitched 6 innings. I think they have 53 or 54 straight games with a starting pitcher with, no more than twice a starting pitcher has not gone 6 innings. The only time, that's first time since 1901, 120 something years ago. Historically bad. And bullpen is great. I don't even blame them. You got stars coming out of the games early. And I love Mendoza. I think he's a very good manager. Did a great job last year. This year, he's had so many injuries in the rotation. Guys are underperforming. His hitting coach, Chavez, I think he doesn't know what he's doing. And, I don't think some of the criticism has been warranted for him. Everyone points finger out, like, oh, when Terry Collins, had some obviously very passionate press conferences. Keep in mind, Terry Collins, who I love Terry. He was great. He also made the playoffs twice in 7 years. Mendoza took the team to the NLCS in his first season. I know Terry took them to the World Series in 2015, but come on, like, what are we even doing here? I'll look at the fair comparison. So every time, no matter, he makes one wrong decision, everyone brings up, oh, look at Terry Collins, and it's like, come on, stop. But like, yesterday, you're losing games left and right. You've lost 6 in a row. You've lost, 11 of 12. Manaea, after the first 4 innings, giving up 3 runs. He's pitching okay. You have a 3-run lead. Gives up 1 hit to Isaac Collins, leading off the inning. Takes him out for Reed Garrett. First guy that Garrett faces, Wilson Contreras, 2-run homer. Now it's 6-5. And of course, you end up losing the game. Just, your bullpen is taxed. And they made a bunch of trades at the trade deadline, getting Gregory Sale, getting Tyler Rogers, getting Ryan Helsley. And their bullpen's really freaking good. But, when you're asking them to give you 5-6 innings every single game, at some point, they're just going to get tired and run out of gas. And that's what's happening. Kawhi Senga, look at the Brewers case. Kawhi Senga, first 4 innings, is dealing. 5th inning comes around, and he just unravels. 2 games ago, they did an opener of Reed Garrett and then went to Montas for 4 innings. Like, why? I get Montas is struggling. He hasn't been good. I get you want to limit him. Maybe you'll let him go 3rd time through the order. But why have him come out of the bullpen after Garrett for that doesn't make any sense. At that point, just move him to the bullpen and bring in somebody else to take his place in the rotation. And again, Manaea. This one I put on Mendoza. He had 4 decent innings. He's up a one leadoff hit, and he's at 87 pitches, so he can still get through the inning, and you take him out. It's not like you're up by a run. You're up by 3 in the 5th inning. Like, what are we doing? So why have Noel McClain and Brandon Sprout not been called up? Sprout, his last 8 starters, he was under 1 AAA. He was the best reliever, he was their best pitcher in the minor leagues last season. Why is he not here when no pitcher besides Dave Pearson can get through even 5 or 6 innings? Forget 6. These guys are having trouble getting through 5. Manaea is lucky to get you an out into the 6th inning. Frankie Montas has been dreadful. Clay Holmes, you're lucky if he gives you 5 and a third. And meanwhile, Noel McClain, who's in the running for minor league pitcher of the year, nothing. Not even considering calling him up. Same thing with Brandon Sprout. Joe Latang has been maybe the minor league special pitcher this year. In AA, he got promoted to AAA yesterday. Why? Why did it take that long to promote to AAA? And if you just get to AAA now, he probably isn't coming up till next season. Like, I don't get it. You're getting this putrid production out of your starting rotation, and you have 2 or 3 guys who are been lights out in the minors. Yes, you're facing minor league competition. I get it to step up in the major league. That's how this thing works in every sport. It's like that. That's beyond obvious. But give him a shot. Are we sure Nolan McLean, who's been dominating AAA all season, is worse than Frankie Montas and his 6.5 ERA so far this season? It's August 11th. Sure, Brandon Sprout's worse than what he's brought out. Are you sure Sprout can't go 6 innings one time in over the final 6 weeks of the season? Like, I don't understand. Even Joe Matong's been in Double A all year. Is that guy really worse than what Montas is putting out? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. So they need to be better. If not, they cannot miss the playoffs. Because at that point, Mendoza seats might get out, and that isn't fair to him. So get in the playoffs, get this thing turned around, and get this thing turned around fast. So, two more things to talk about. First off, college football top 25, AP top 10 rankings is out. College football is getting ready to start. Get excited. Let's get into it. And number one is Texas. So we'll get to see Arch Manning as a full-time starter this year. We're in the college football playoff last year. Number two is Penn State. They're in the semifinals last year. Brought back a bunch of guys, including their quarterback, Drew Aller. Three is Ohio State, playing national champs. Four is Clemson. Clemson ranked fourth in the country to start the year. It did get better in the offseason. Probably the favorites to win the ACC again. Number five is Georgia. Lost in the quarterfinals last year. We'll see what happens with Gunnar Stockton taking the reins of quarterback, of Carson Beck transferring. Number six is Notre Dame. They, of course, were the runner-ups last year. Seventh is Oregon. They were great last year. Actually won the Big Ten, but then got just drilled by Ohio State early in the playoffs. Eighth is Alabama. It's going to come down to, what happens with that quarterback race with Ty Simpson and company. Number nine is LSU. The team's really good. I think Garrett Nussmeier is really talented. I think that's a really good team. Brian Kelly, to me, seems like a guy like, when in doubt, he'll find a way to screw it up. Underperform, but that roster is really good. 10th is Miami. I do think they were rushed a bit last year. I think the first team out. The second team out of the college football playoff last year. Cam Ward is now in the NFL. Their top receiver, Restrepo, is now in the NFL. So I can see some regression, though. Carson back, see what he can do. 11th is Arizona State. They had a really good year last year, winning the Big 12. But obviously, the Marquette Scatterville. We'll see how they rebound. Big 12 isn't very strong. 12th is Illinois. 13th is South Carolina. 14th is Michigan. They should be better this year. They have a legit quarterback this year. We'll see what happens. 15th is Florida. The Gators ranked 15th this year. See what Graham Mertz can do. 16th is SMU. Last year they had a good year, snuck into the college football playoff last year, but then just got annihilated in the first round. 17th is Kansas State. They had a good year in the Big 12 last year. 18th is Oklahoma. 19th is Texas A&M. 20th is Indiana. 21st is Ole Miss. They were good last year. We'll see what happens now with Jackson Dart's now in the NFL. Was the first round pick by the Giants. 22nd is Iowa State. They were the runner-ups in the Big 12 championship last year. 23rd is Texas Tech. 24th is Tennessee. Were great last year. We're a top 10 team. But got close one in the first round of the college football playoff. We're very good last year. We're a main contender in the SEC. And 25th is Boise State, who, of course, was the group of 5 team that got into the college football playoff last year. But lost in the first round. But Ashton Genty, of course, now in the NFL. We'll see how they rebound. Those are your top 25 top football rankings. Let's finish up. Smackdown recap from this past Friday. It was kind of Smackdown might need a little bit of a revamp. Might need a draft soon. We had the main stuff to happen. We had Aleister Black. He had in a vignette, continue hyping up his feud with Damian Priest. He wants to exert violence on Priest. We'll see where that feud goes. Charlotte Flair defeated Chelsea Green with the figure 8 leg lock. After Chelsea Green crashed Alexa Bliss's birthday celebration. I love those two, by the way. Charlotte and Alexa, they're perfect together. You had JC Mateo and Tua Tonga defeated Marcy Machine Guns in a tag team match with obviously the distractions from Tonga Loa and Sol Sikoa. And then afterwards, Nick all said, so you're not getting a night off. And Sami Zayn came out. Obviously, it's in Montreal, his hometown, so he got a big pop. And Sami Zayn beat Sol Sikoa by rolling him up. And then we had, obviously, the first segment was Cena cutting a promo, his first babyface promo on this retirement tour since he turned back face. They'll smack him before SummerSlam. Then Logan Paul came out It was cutting a promo of him. He challenged him to a match. Then McIntyre came out and attacked John Cena. Cody Rhodes came out and chased him away. And now Cena accepted Logan Paul's challenge. So he will fight Logan Paul at Clash in Paris. And it's a tag team match for the main event with Cody Rhodes and John Cena against Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. And then there was a disqualification when Logan Paul had a low blow on John Cena. But then McIntyre with a vicious Claymore underneath the now table to Cody Rhodes. I really hope they do McIntyre against Cody. I really hope they put the title on McIntyre. That would be great. That was SmackDown. Raw tonight. I need these Karrion Kross chants to be as loud as ever. They cannot let him and Scarlett go. Karrion Kross is super over. The fans love him. He's got a great connection with the crowd. He's top of the line in merchandise sales. His character work is great. You cannot let this guy go. This guy has future world champion written all over it. Paul Flippin Heyman on Ariel Helwani's podcast last week said that he was comparing Karrion Kross's rise to Stone Cold Steve Austin's. Okay, so you cannot let this guy go. Resign him. Resign Scarlett is ridiculous. Hopefully this is a work. Get something done. You can get something done now. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.